Okay, so cheers to everyone who watched the video before. The response was actually pretty great, and the messages too, so thank you for them. It made me realise how many people have this fucking thing. I don't really know if I want to call it a disorder. I mean, I guess it is technically a disorder, but in the past I've kind of told myself that it's a condition and that I'm stuck with it forever. And I've kind of gone in and out of that mindset between thinking, no, I can control it, I can get rid of it, and then just accepting that it's something that is going to happen. Depending on which way you want to frame it in your brain can change how you treat it. But for me right now, I'm hoping it's not something that will stick around for ages. But yeah, so I actually had 14 people message me and be like, I have this too. And that is 14 people out of the people it has reached who actually feel comfortable enough to message me. So yeah, that proves that it's actually a much less uncommon thing. I did have some questions. So one girl who messaged me, she made me aware of the acronym BFRB, Body Focused Repetitive Behaviours. That kind of covers trichotillomania and dermatillomania. So as I kind of explained in my last video, trichotillomania is when you're pulling out the hairs, and dermatillomania, which I think I mentioned briefly, I'm not too sure, but that is skin picking. So if people have the compulsion to pick spots, I think everyone has a little bit of this, but obviously for some people it can ruin their life if they just can't stop the compulsion. So the umbrella term for these two is BFRB, so Body Focused Repetitive Behaviours. I did some research and there is an insane website here. I literally just typed into Google BFRB treatment and the first thing that came up is this whole website, which is www.bfrb.org. There are upcoming events, so a lot of them are online. Also, there's a popular articles section. The first one is 50 ways to stop pulling your hair. 50. Like, wow. And then there's medications for body-focused repetitive behaviours, about chronic cheek biting. I don't know if any of you have that. So I'm going to just go on to the top one, so 50 ways to stop pulling your hair. And she has bullet pointed all of the different ways, and she's also coded them. So 1 asterisk is that she's tried these methods, and 2 asterisks is these tips have helped me most. She's got things like wear a bandana to bed, make a sticker chart, talk to another person, wet your hair down, so I guess that's like putting the Vaseline on so you can't pull it, it's slippery. Find other things to do with your hands, knitting, crocheting, cross-stitching. Small reasonable goals, such as I will not pull for the next 3 hours, then keep increasing your time. Also, there are quite a few that were about confronting the anxiety. That actually reminds me of the whole, what is it, okay book. The Fault in Our Stars, you know, when he puts the cigarette in his mouth and he says something like, something about killing machine and not giving it power. I don't know, but basically like that. So if, for example, you want to pull, you found a hair, like normally, okay, I'm gonna pull it, but instead you just stop. Like, think to yourself, I'm not gonna pull, and then release. And I know that can be really hard, but actually confronting the anxiety, maybe doing things that will trigger it, and then purposefully being like, no, that is taking control and taking power of it, not letting it control you. So there was something here as well that said if you see a hair on the floor, sometimes that can trigger people's anxieties. So just look at the hair, accept that that feeling's going to come when you see it, and go, nope, bye bitch, not gonna do that. There are some more here. Look in the mirror every day to see how much it's grown. Be proud of your hard work. So I think I'm going to be doing that with my eyebrows because I had a bit of a slip up last night. Was a bit silly. And stayed up until like, I think it was 4:30, just doing work. Just because in the middle of the night, when there are no distractions, when everyone's asleep, I'm just like, we are going to do some work, and I just end up sweating out work for fucking hours. It works for me sometimes. I don't really know how it's affecting my sleep pattern. I guess not very well. Okay, brush your hair instead of pulling. So I guess when I had longer hair and I felt myself feeling, instead I would just switch to doing this, just a little finger brush. Let's see, these are the ones that may sound a bit crazy to people who don't get it, but to people who do get it, give it a try. So use the saying, every hair belongs on my head, and repeat this over and over until the urge ceases. I have done that in the past and I find that that helps me. It's like, just think to yourself, why do I want to be doing this? Why? Like, what is my deal? Why am I wanting to pull out my hair? My hair grows on my head, I love my hair, let's just leave it there. Just be like, it belongs there. Don't take it away from its friends, just keep it there. A really interesting one that's on this list is wear perfume on your hand so that you will realise when your hand is going up to pull out your hair. I have never thought of that, but quite clever. Another one that may sound silly to other people, name the hairs you want to pull out. So I guess that's kind of personifying the hairs. Is that the right word? Personification, personify. Yeah, personify the hairs. Be like, this is Molly, she doesn't want to leave. I don't know, that could work. Play with silly putty, take good care of your hair, appreciating your hair. So I went through a whole phase where I'd put loads of oils and everything on my hair to try to help hair growth, and it did help, but I don't know, that could work for some people, but it could also be detrimental to others, I guess, if you've put so much time and effort on your hair and then you do end up pulling and you're like, didn't go to plan. Yeah, so basically I'm going to put a link to this in the, what do you call it, description box? Yeah, description box below, because that's brilliant. Like, from the time that I did research into it when I was, 15, so 7 years ago. I guess that is quite a long time ago. But when I did research into it, there was none of this shit online. Like, it seems like it's got a lot more visibility now. People know about it more, and people are actually getting help and giving advice. So yeah, back to the questions that I got. So how long do I usually go without pulling? So I said in my last video the max was 184 days. It honestly depends on how well I'm dealing with it. There are some times when I'll go a week. There are other times when I'll be working and I'll have gone 2 days and I'm just sitting there. Like, I feel the urge and I just can't be asked to fight myself, you know? So I'm just like, just do it, I don't care. So sometimes there are times like that, so it only lasts 2 days, but between my 2 pulling periods recently, that was 4 days, because when I made the video, I'd pulled from my head really badly 2 days before that, and I think this is 2 days after. So yeah, last night when I was up, I was trying, but I started pulling from my eyebrows. This one here, and this one just on the ends, and at that point, that was when I was like, right, we are stopping, it is 4 AM, stop being stupid, go to sleep. So yeah, it really depends on how you're doing mentally, how you view it, whether you actually have the energy to stop yourself or not. It can really vary between minutes, hours, days, whatever. And then her second question was, how long do you spend during the period of pulling? So yeah, this can range a lot. If I am in the situation that I just described where I just can't be asked to fight myself, then it could just be one, but more often than not, that one then turns into a second, and then a third, and then you're on a roll. Sometimes if I pull one and I haven't pulled in however long, I say to myself, right, it's just one. As long as it stays as just one, we can ignore it and carry on with the timer. We don't have to acknowledge that, because I know that if I do acknowledge it and stop the timer, I'm just like, oh, well, I've gone 1 second, so I can just pull again. Like, I can just pull again. So that actually helps for me, being compassionate and not letting it turn into like a snowball effect. So yeah, it can range from seconds to hours in the situation where I am really struggling to stop myself, and I'm just kind of being, I guess, submissive to the compulsion, just like letting it do its thing and not putting in effort to stop it. That's when it can get super bad. So yeah, they were the questions I got. Oh, one other thing, advice for eyebrow picking is, for me, I find that when they're coming through, when they're really spiky, that's when it is hardest for me to not pull. So I've kind of identified that, and as long as you're aware of it, then you can actually be like, right, what am I going to do to stop this? So I'm aware that that is the hardest time for me, and that means that I'm going to put in extra effort to not pluck or pull my eyebrow hair when it gets to that point, and then once it's past that point it's so much easier. So you know that it's going to get tough, but then you pull through it, you don't pluck or pull or whatever, and get through it and it will get easier. So yeah, I think that's it. Thank you everyone for the reaction to the video, that was great, and hopefully it can be shared more so that other people who have these issues can learn about it and learn to help themselves. Okay, fab. See ya.